At this time, that cabin is on fire. As far as our deputy sheriffs that were injured during the firefight, one of our deputy sheriffs was pronounced dead when he arrived at the hospital, and the second deputy is in surgery now and is expected to survive.
Can you describe how this firefight happened?
I can. I know that the subject stole a vehicle from the Big Bear area. He fled on foot not far from this cabin that he's in now. When he barricaded himself in the cabin, there was gunfire exchanged between the deputies, who were the first responders, and the suspect. The suspect has been described as looking similar to Christopher Dorner, and we have reason to believe that it is him. That is unconfirmed at this time because we have not had any contact with him except for the deputies that were engaged in gunfire with him.
Cindy, how did this fire start?
What about the fire?
I can't talk to you about the fire. I just received information when I got here that the cabin was on fire.
Do you know he's still inside?
We don't know if he's inside. The cabin is on fire now. That's all I can tell you right now.
Planning on a long night, Cindy. We saw the lights coming in.
Of course, we are planning on a long night. It's an active crime scene. If this is Christopher Dorner here, he's now responsible for the murder of 4 people and attempt murder of 3 others.
Do you have it surrounded? Do you have the entire area surrounded?
The entire area is surrounded by law enforcement personnel. As you know, there's been law enforcement here in the mountain communities from across Southern California, including the FBI, the U.S. Marshals. We have plenty of air support, and we need to let them do their jobs and bring this incident to a safe ending.
And fire department is not invited in?
What kind of firepower?
How much personnel is up there?
I don't know how much personnel
fire
is there.
department is not allowed to tackle the fire yet because they're not sure it's clear?
Correct. If there is someone inside the house that is armed and that has already killed one of our deputy sheriffs, they're not going to allow anyone to go near the fire at this point.
The two individuals were held.
Inside the cabin.
I'm sorry?
Was there any communication at all of any type with?
I'm not aware of any communication with the subject inside.
The 2 individuals that were held.
Hostages in the cabin?
No, I'm not aware of any hostages in the cabin. I'm not aware of any hostage situation.
The 2 individuals that were held by him that ended up calling, were they harmed in any way? Who were they? How did they get out of this thing?
The victims of the car theft, I know the car was stolen from their home, but I don't know how the incident unfolded at their home. As far as I know, there were no injuries to those people, but after he fled the scene and then was engaged in a firefight with our deputies, what happened at the house wasn't that important after I knew that they were not injured.
That house for the past 2 days, as far as you know, we heard reports he may have been holding this couple hostage for the past
I have not heard that.
Do you know what kind of weapons you're up against?
No, I don't.
Are you sure if somebody is in that house?
Are you sure somebody is in that house?
Is in that house at the burning?
We believe that someone is in that house, yes.
Do you believe it is Christopher Dorner at this point? We
have reason to believe that it is him. The victims who had their car stolen reported to us that that suspect matched the description of Christopher Dorner.
As well as the game and fish wardens who came across him?
I don't know what the fish and game wardens said.
Can you confirm that there are no hostages, or you just don't have any information?
I have not been advised that there are any hostages involved in this current situation.
Just to clarify, what we're talking about is reports not today, not this one where the fire is, but on Club View that he may have been holed up in a home or a cabin over there with a couple that was tied up. There were reports going around. We're just trying to clarify, is there any truth to any of that?
That hasn't been confirmed. Like I said, as things began to unfold, when I knew that the victims of the car theft were not hurt, I didn't ask any further about that.
Was it 3 or 4 deputies who were shot, including 2 deputies and the ranger, or were there more than that?
I'm only aware of our 2 deputy sheriffs that were shot.
Did you start with Fish and Game as originally reported?
I did hear reports that there were shots fired at a Fish and Game vehicle.
So did they then called the sheriff's department? How did it
The situation was already going on at that point.
Cindy, do you know if the gas that was put into the house started the fire, or
I
did
don't
it start
know.
internally?
I don't know.
And how much force did they go in with? Was it just gas they went in with, or other devices?
I don't know. It's an active situation, and they're not concerned about updating me with that kind of detail at this point.
Explosions and ammunition on the house? Bomb at some point, and did the...
I don't know. I know that there was a smoke bomb, but I don't know if that was from the suspect or from
Do you know if there's any ammunition or explosions at the burning house?
We would assume that there is ammunition there.
Is time on your side, or at some point do they just go in?
That will be up to them to determine how they handle it.
Has the entire area all the civilians in the area been moved out ahead of this, or are there people who are now in their homes in that immediate area with Christopher Dorner perhaps on the run in the Seven Oaks area?
I'm not aware that there are any neighbors who need to be evacuated. I think if there were, that was done early on.
But how confident are you that you have him? Are you going to wait until this thing completely burns to the ground before you move in?
They're evaluating it as the scene is. It's an active scene, and it's burning right now. And they have a plan. Clearly. And they have not had time to update me on every detail of that plan.
We have about 30 minutes.
Being fired out of the house before the fire started, or was it after the fire started?
There was active gunfire before the fire.
Do you know what type of weapon he had?
No, I don't.
So you don't know who started this fire? Law enforcement?
No, I don't.
Cindy, there were shots coming from the cabin towards the deputies.
Correct.
Gunfire exchange.
There was an exchange of gunfire between the subject in the cabin and the law enforcement personnel that were surrounding the cabin.
And at the time, the cabin was completely surrounded by law enforcement when that exchange was going on?
Completely surrounded, I'm not sure. But there was law enforcement outside of the cabin when the exchange of gunfire occurred. We had air units up as this was going on.
Just to be clear, the deputies were shot while the suspect was in the cabin, not while he was running to the cabin, correct?
I don't know the exact sequence of events. I know there was an exchange of gunfire. 2 deputies were shot. One of those deputies died as a result. The second deputy is in surgery and is expected to survive.
Do you know if this man was hit, if Dorner was hit?
Did at some point Mr. Dorner abandon the stolen vehicle? Is that what you said?
He did. He abandoned the stolen vehicle and fled into the forest, and that's how he ended up in this cabin.
Do you know if gunfire had been exchanged before he abandoned the vehicle?
No, after he abandoned the vehicle.
You have about a half hour.
Has he been hit by any chance? Do you guys
I'm sorry?
Are you guys aware if he has been hit by any of
We're not aware.
You have about a half hour of sunlight left. How critical is it that you guys get him before that sun goes down, or end this thing?
Well, it's critical that we end this situation as soon as possible. He's an armed and dangerous subject. And
give us another summary, please, up-to-date summary.
Just the beginning, summarize
Every count.
Up-to-date summary.
Is there a police car missing? Is there a police car missing?
there are no police cars missing that I'm aware of.
Is there any attempt of communication with him?
I'm not sure.
Did it appear he had any body armor?
I don't know. They didn't indicate that he did.
Is there any speculation that the suspect probably fled the area